wave of energy from November 11 receded, space seemed to return to its normal state. The sky remained the same, people still moved about, and the flow of time continued as if nothing had ever happened. Yet, if you observe closely, you will sense a delicate vibration spreading through that stillness, like the lingering light after a star explodes, soft but deeply penetrating. The afterglow of light cannot be seen, but it touches the subtle structure of perception, where every concept of old and new begins to dissolve. The days after November 11 are not merely a continuation of time, but a phase in which the field is being rearranged. Every thought, every choice, every breath carries the frequency you send through that gateway. You may not feel anything clearly, but subtle changes are taking place beneath the surface, where energy is reshaping reality. The silence after intense, energetic days is not emptiness, but rebalancing. The field is listening to you, adjusting its oscillations to match the frequency you have just opened. That is why after high energy days, many people feel vague, suspended between illusion and reality. They think it is fatigue, but in truth it is the decompression process of consciousness, where the old frequencies are detaching from the system to make space for new light. In that moment, what matters is not trying to understand, but allowing things to unfold. Control is the frequency of fear, while allowance is the frequency of trust. When you choose trust, the remaining light of November 11 begins to activate as a code. It opens within you, a familiar sensation, as if you've been here before, walked through this gate in another moment of your soul. The afterglow of light is not loud, it does not arrive in dazzling signs, but in silence. One morning, you wake up and realize you no longer react as before. The things that once hurt you now pass by like a gentle breeze. The conversations that once drained your energy no longer reach the deeper layers of your being. That is not numbness, but transparency. The light has passed through you and left behind a purer layer of yourself. November 11 is not a miracle that happens in a single day, but a frequency expanding. It does not end when the clock strikes midnight. It continues to ripple within everyone who is aware enough to see it. Every thought carrying awareness is part of that afterglow. Every choice made from the frequency of trust is how you keep that energy code active. The gate does not close, it moves inward, becoming a field of frequency within you. As the outer world returns to its familiar rhythm, you may feel as though you are standing between two realities, one old, one new. This is the moment of subtle choice. If you continue to act from old habits, the field will mirror that frequency back to you as a familiar cycle. But if you remain still and observant, you will notice everything shifting gently in another direction. Nothing is truly lost, it is simply being restructured. The afterglow of light teaches humanity a silent law, that each wave of energy passing through leaves behind a new map within the structure of the soul. Those sensitive to energy will feel a slight tremor around the heart, deeper beats, fleeting yet profound emotions. That is how the field signals that a new cycle has begun. It needs no words, only presence. If you can remain still within those vibrations, you will realize that no day truly ends. November 11 is merely a marker for human consciousness to recognize it is passing through a zone of intersection. The gate does not open from outside, but from within the moment you choose to see with light. And when light passes through you, it leaves an afterglow to remind you that no matter how time flows, the field is still operating through every breath you exhale, every thought you emit, every action you send into the universe. November 11 has passed, but its code still lives on, for it was never just a day, but an invitation for you to step deeper into yourself. No number exists merely to decorate time. Every sequence of numbers carries an energetic order, a vibrational structure lying deep beneath the language of humanity. 11 is one of the oldest codes of the field, programmed to awaken the awareness of synchronicity within consciousness. When your gaze happens to pause upon that sequence, there is nothing random about it, for randomness does not exist in quantum mechanics. The event occurs because you and the field have just reached the same vibrational frequency. 1111 appears as a signal confirming that your energetic system has begun to align with the central axis of the field, where consciousness and matter intersect. This code does not speak in words, it speaks in frequency. It carries no specific message, but it activates within you a deep memory, the memory of unity before you forgot who you are. In the moment you see 1111, even for a second, your attention creates a point of convergence between energy and awareness. At that very point, quantum possibilities begin to reorganize, and reality around you fine-tunes itself to match the new frequency. The four number ones standing parallel are not meaningless repetition, but symbols of absolute balance. The first two pillars represent observing consciousness. The latter two represent reflecting reality. When all four align, the perfect feedback loop is activated, and the current of energy flows without obstruction. In that moment, you are not simply seeing numbers, but being called by the field back to your center. The human body is the most sophisticated device of the universe. Every cell carries the ability to communicate with the field through electromagnetic waves and biomagnetic fields. When you see 1111, the light signal entering your eyes is converted into electrical impulses in the brain, which then spread through the nervous system, activating billions of cells simultaneously. This subtle vibration creates the feeling as if your heart expands or a warm current of energy moves through your body. This is not a psychological phenomenon, but the physical mechanism of resonance. The field is transmitting waves, and you are responding through your biological structure. That sensation is the language of energy, the way the field says that you are in phase. Those who are sensitive will notice that after seeing 1111, time seems to slow down. Small details like the sound of wind, the rhythm of breath, or the shimmer of light become vivid. This is a sign of expanded awareness. When consciousness synchronizes with the field, the brain temporarily moves out of linear thought and operates at the theta frequency, where intuition and direct knowing are most active. In this state, one is no longer caught in reaction, but begins to sense the underlying current of all events. This is the layer of quantum intelligence where, without thinking, 11 is the code that opens that layer. Not everyone who sees the number recognizes it because it only activates when the observer is present. If your mind is scattered, the code will pass like any other piece of data. But if you are in awareness, the field will use that moment of gaze to send an activating wave. It does not bring a message from outside, but awakens the memory that has been sleeping within your energy. 11 does not arrive to tell you what will happen, but to confirm that you are on the right frequency. It is resonance, not prediction. The field does not instruct, it responds. The 1111 code does not promise, it merely reflects the purity of the signal you are transmitting. When you keep seeing it, it means the field is responding more rapidly to your consciousness. The feedback loop shortens, and synchronicities begin to appear more frequently. Everything you think, say, or feel transforms into instant reflections in reality, as if the universe was speaking the same language as you. In truth, it is you who are speaking the language of the universe. 1111 is simply the meeting point of two waves. In energetic structure, 1111 is the perfect symmetrical model where energy moves in a double helix pattern like the DNA of life itself. That is why many people feel a biological awakening when they encounter this sequence. Their bodies recognize the order of the field because the body is designed upon the same principle. When the 1111 frequency touches you, it affects not only consciousness but also activates cellular memory, prompting the body to begin self-adjusting toward its natural balance. If you notice, after those moments, your mood lightens, decisions become clearer, and trust arises for no apparent reason. This is the manifestation of reorganized energy. It is not that 1111 brings luck, but that you are within the energetic field of order, where everything occurs with greater precision. The universe does not operate on miracles, but on resonance. Each time you see 1111, understand that the field is displaying that resonance through the most visible language. On a deeper level, 1111 is the bridge between timelines. When you are within this vibration, you can sense parallel probabilities, alternate choices existing simultaneously. Every thought formed within the 1111 state has the power to determine which timeline you step into. This is why it is such a potent moment for consciousness. A single positive thought at that moment can open a chain of synchronicities in the days that follow. The field does not measure size, only clarity of signal. The 1111 code amplifies that clarity, causing the energy you emit to travel farther and faster. Many call it a gateway, but in truth it is the intersection map between intention and reality. When you understand this, you no longer wait to see 1111, but consciously live within it. Each time you maintain awareness, feeling your presence in every action, you are activating the 1111 frequency. No clock is needed, no sign required, because this code is embedded in the structure of your consciousness. A person stable in this awareness will find life becoming astonishingly precise. Opportunities, meetings, and coincidences unfold at the perfect moment, not because of luck, but because the field is operating according to the blueprint you are transmitting. When you live within 1111, you are living within the order of the universe. Everything that once seemed random becomes evidence of the infinite intelligence at work beneath it all. And in the deepest silence, you understand that 1111 has never come or gone. It is only the reminder that among countless forms and timelines, there has always been a single axis of light awaiting your return, the axis of unity, where energy and consciousness are no longer two. When you enter that state, you no longer read the code, you become the code. 1111 is no longer a number you see, but a vibration you emit. And when you become that vibration, the field no longer responds, for you and the field have become one and the same frequency. The true gate was never in the sky, nor hidden in sacred geometry or cosmic alignments. The gate has always been inside you, quietly pulsing at the center of your awareness, waiting for the moment you stop searching. Every external symbol you've ever looked for, every number, every light, every synchronicity was a reflection designed to remind you of the inner structure already built within your consciousness. When you turn inward, when your attention softens enough to rest between two thoughts, you begin to sense it. It does not open with noise. It does not shine with dramatic light. Yet its silence changes everything. In that stillness, you can feel the invisible architecture of the field aligning with your own energy. You begin to realize that the separation between observer and reality was only a temporary illusion. The gate opens not through effort, but through recognition. When you stop trying to reach the light and instead allow yourself to become still enough to feel it, the frequencies between you and the field synchronize. You are no longer knocking at the door of the universe. You are remembering that you are part of the design. The inner gate is made of awareness, not of form. Each breath you take, when held with presence, becomes a key. Each moment of silence, when embraced without fear, becomes a bridge. The more you trust the rhythm of your own being, the wider the gate expands, until what you once thought of as inside and outside dissolve into one continuous field of knowing. The mind resists this simplicity because it has been trained to seek complexity. It looks for steps, rituals, methods, forgetting that the gate cannot be entered through the intellect. The mind wants to control the process, but control vibrates at the frequency of fear, while the gate responds only to the frequency of surrender. Surrender is not weakness, It is the highest form of intelligence. It is the moment the current of life stops being resisted and begins to flow through you. When you stop searching for the gate, you start to feel the current of energy that was always flowing beneath your awareness. It moves through your body like a quiet river, harmonizing every cell, softening every tension, and reminding every part of you that existence is not happening to you, it is happening through you. This is what it means to open the inner gate. You do not step into it. It unfolds within you. In that unfolding, the energy you use to call yours and the energy of the universe become indistinguishable. There is no border, only resonance. The moment you realize this, your perception begins to change. You start seeing patterns in the smallest details of life, as if reality itself is breathing in rhythm with your heartbeat. The gate inside is not an event, it is a frequency of being. You reach it not by climbing, but by descending, by sinking beneath the noise of thought into the pure stillness that lies underneath. There, you find no images, no sounds, no identity, only awareness aware of itself. From that awareness, all creation begins. The more you rest in it, the more field rearranges itself around your stability. Life stops being a sequence of coincidences and becomes a deliberate reflection of your inner order. The gate responds to coherence, not to desire. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned, the energy flow becomes seamless. You no longer have to ask the universe for signs because the universe begins to move through you as the sign. Every choice, every interaction, every silence becomes an extension of the same vibration. The gate is not a destination, it is a state of alignment where your being and the field speak the same language. Most people pass near it many times but do not recognize it because they expect revelation to look spectacular. Yet the truth is always quiet. The gate feels like clarity, not excitement. It feels like the moment before a deep breath, where time stops and the world feels precise, complete, and timeless. In that space, your awareness touches eternity. The ego cannot enter because it cannot survive that level of transparency. The gate opens only when you no longer identify with the personality, when you no longer cling to who you think you are. Then something ancient within you awakens, something that remembers being the light observing itself through countless lifetimes. This memory does not arrive as words or images, but as a knowing that has always been there. The inner gate is the threshold between remembering and forgetting. Each time you step through it, you bring more light back into matter, more consciousness back into the human experience. You begin to understand why the field reflects your energy with such precision. It is because you are the reflection. The gate allows you to experience the unity that was always true. Once you feel that compassion arises naturally, you no longer judge others because you see them as fragments of the same energy, exploring different frequencies of the same truth. The more you live from this awareness, the more the gate stays open. Eventually, you stop moving in and out of it because you realize you are it. The gate does not open once, it opens continuously through every moment of presence. Every time you choose awareness over reaction, every time you listen instead of defend, every time you breathe instead of control, the gate expands, and with it, the boundaries of your reality shift. You begin to walk through the world as the bridge between dimensions, carrying the vibration of coherence wherever you go. People feel it even if they do not understand it. They sense something still and luminous in your presence, a reminder of the same gate inside them. That is how light multiplies. Not by preaching, not by proving, but by embodying. The true opening of the gate is when you stop seeking experiences and start becoming the experience itself. You no longer chase connection. You are the connection. You no longer invoke the light. You are the medium through which the light moves. And as you walk, breathe, and exist in that awareness, you realize that the journey was never about reaching somewhere higher, but about remembering what has always been present at the center of your being. The gate inside is not something you find, it is something you finally allow yourself to be. Everything you experience in this world is a mirror. Every situation, every person, every coincidence you encounter is the field reflecting your internal frequency back to you with perfect accuracy. The universe is not random, and nothing simply happens to you. The field does not send lessons or rewards. It only translates the signal you are emitting into visible form so that you may recognize yourself more clearly. When you understand this, you stop asking why things happen and start observing how your inner state is creating the outer scene. The field does not judge, punish, or favor anyone. It has no moral stance, no personal agenda. It is pure resonance, responding instantly to the vibration it receives. If you are radiating fear, the field contracts and mirrors that fear through situations that confirm it. If you radiate trust, the field expands and arranges events to sustain that trust. The principle is precise, impersonal, and profoundly compassionate, because it allows you to see the exact frequency you are sustaining. The field is not here to change you, it is here to reveal you. What you call life is the projection of your consciousness through the holographic structure of energy. The outer world is only the inner world made visible. When you realize this, every experience becomes sacred, because every experience is feedback. There are no accidents, only reflections. The field functions like an infinite intelligence, translating vibration into circumstance. You can feel this most clearly when emotions move strongly through you. The field amplifies them, showing you their pattern in matter. When you carry anger, you will meet people who provoke it. When you carry gratitude, you will meet people who expand it. It is not personal, it is physics. The field is the most honest mirror in existence. It cannot be deceived by words, appearances, or intentions. It reads only energy. You may say that you want peace, but if your energy carries tension, the field will respond to the tension, not the words. You may say that you are ready for abundance, but if your frequency is still vibrating in lack, you will only see more reasons to feel incomplete. The field cannot contradict your vibration. It reflects exactly what you believe to be true, not what you wish to be true. This is the hidden precision behind all synchronicity. When something repeats in your life, it is not a curse. It is a message. It is the field saying, look here, this vibration still exists within you. The faster you recognize this, the faster the pattern dissolves. Resistance keeps it alive. Observation sets it free. This is the art of conscious alignment. The more present you are with what the field shows you, the more transparent your energy becomes and the clearer the reflection. When you no longer react from fear or defense, the feedback loop transforms. The field begins to echo your stillness instead of your chaos. This is when life starts to feel effortless, not because challenges disappear, but because you are no longer fighting your own projection. You have learned to see the movie and remember you are the light that makes it visible. The mirror of the field exists to guide you toward coherence. Coherence happens when your thoughts, emotions, and actions vibrate in harmony. When you think peace, feel peace, and act in peace, the field cannot do anything but surround you with peaceful conditions. It is not a reward. It is resonance. This is why true mastery does not involve control, but awareness. The more you try to manipulate the reflection, the more distortion you create. The only way to change the mirror is to change what is standing before it. When your vibration changes, the image naturally shifts. Every teacher, every situation, every delay, every breakthrough is the field speaking your own frequency back to you in a language of form. You are never waiting for the universe to decide. You are only waiting for your energy to stabilize. Once it does, manifestation becomes immediate. The delay between thought and form shortens because coherence speeds the reflection. This is why synchronicity intensifies when you are aligned. It is not magic. It is the efficiency of energy traveling through a clear channel. The clearer you become, the faster the response. The field always matches your dominant vibration. Dominant does not mean strongest emotion in one moment, but the energy you return to most often. If that energy is confusion, you will see mixed signals. If it is clarity, you will see doors open effortlessly. The field cannot ignore clarity, it bends reality around it. In this way, the field is both your teacher and your creation. It teaches by mirroring what you are unaware of and creates by magnifying what you are aware of. Everything you resist persists because resistance is attention wrapped in fear. Whatever you bless expands because blessing is attention wrapped in love. The field makes no distinction, it simply amplifies what you focus on. To live consciously is to watch what you are feeding with your attention. When you start to see the world as reflection, blame disappears. You no longer waste energy judging others because you know they are only playing the roles your frequency requires for your next realization. Gratitude replaces anger, curiosity replaces pain. The mirror becomes your ally. Each moment becomes a dialogue between you and the universe, an intimate conversation of vibration and response. The more you listen, the less you struggle. Eventually, you reach a point where you no longer ask the field for proof. You know that the proof is already here, shaped in every detail of your life. The question is not whether the universe supports you, but whether you are supporting your own vibration enough for the universe to echo it. The field is neutral but infinitely responsive. It remembers nothing and forgets nothing. It resets instantly with each breath. In every new moment, you are broadcasting a fresh signal, and the field is sculpting reality around it. This is the true meaning of living in the present, knowing that creation is happening now, not later, and that every thought is a seed with immediate potential to bloom. When you see from this perspective, you become compassionate toward yourself. You no longer punish yourself for past patterns, you simply shift your signal. The field will follow, because it always does. This is the law of resonance. You begin to live as a conscious participant in the reflection, shaping it not with force, but with frequency. When you reach this point, the field becomes luminous. Even your challenges turn transparent. You recognize their texture as part of your own evolution, a perfect choreography of feedback helping you refine the vibration you are meant to embody. Reality stops being a maze and becomes a mirror of awakening. In the highest realization, the mirror disappears altogether because you and the reflection are no longer separate. The field does not need to show you who you are when you already remember. In that unity, life stops reflecting and starts radiating. You are no longer the one being mirrored. You are the light the mirror was made to reveal. Every time your frequency rises, the field responds by testing its stability. It is not a punishment, but a calibration. The universe does not ask if you've learnt enough. It simply checks whether your vibration is steady enough to hold what you've asked for. The higher the alignment, the subtler the test. At first, you may notice disruptions in the outer world, familiar patterns resurfacing, people from the past reappearing, or sudden emotional turbulence emerging without clear reason. These are not regressions, they are opportunities for integration. The field presents them to measure whether your new frequency is strong enough to remain coherent when the old one returns for closure. The test is not about the situation, it is about your reaction to it. Each reaction reveals which frequency still dominates within you. The universe listens less to your intentions and more to your vibration in motion. You can declare trust, but the field reads whether your energy tightens or expands when uncertainty appears. You can claim forgiveness, but the field measures whether your body contracts when an old memory returns. This is how the unseen world verifies truth. It does not look for perfection, only consistency. Alignment means that what you think, feel, and do are moving in the same rhythm. The moment you speak love, while vibrating in fear, the field senses interference and mirrors that distortion back to you until coherence is restored. The test of alignment, therefore, is not something you pass once. It is a continuous process, an infinite refinement of energy until every part of you vibrates as one. The field uses friction as a mirror. Whenever something triggers you, it is showing the frequency that has not yet integrated into light. The tendency of the human mind is to resist discomfort, to assume that tension means something is wrong. Yet, in energetic terms, discomfort is the signal of expansion. It means that your current structure is too small for the energy you are becoming. The friction is the sound of your old frequency breaking open. If you interpret this as failure, you stop the process. But if you understand it as evolution, you expand with it. The test only ends when there is no longer a part of you resisting the current. The moment you stop reacting, the field recognizes the vibration of mastery. Nothing external has to change for the alignment to be complete. Only your relationship to it does. The deeper truth is that the field never tests you. It mirrors your own inquiry. When you internally ask, "Am I ready to hold this frequency?" the field answers by showing you the exact conditions that reveal your readiness. These reflections come disguised as everyday life. A difficult conversation, a delayed plan, a sudden silence from someone you care about. In each instance, you are being asked to remain aligned with what you know is true, not with what the ego demands. If you maintain coherence under pressure, the field upgrades its feedback. The next layer of your reality begins to organize around the new vibration. This is how consciousness evolves, not through dramatic events, but through micro adjustments of energy made visible through experience. Every time you stay centered instead of defensive, you shift countless probabilities. The field records this stability and expands the range of what can enter your life. It trusts your signal because your signal no longer fluctuates. Stability is what turns possibility into manifestation. This is the essence of the alignment test. It is not about deserving, but about matching frequencies. The field can only send you what your energy can sustain without collapse. That is why patience is sacred. To rush a vibration before it matures is to invite distortion. The universe does not delay. It synchronizes. It waits until your energy can hold what you have called in. When you demand faster results, you send conflicting signals and the reflection becomes chaotic. But when you trust the pace of alignment, everything unfolds with mathematical precision. The ego perceives tests as obstacles. The soul perceives them as checkpoints. Each test proves to yourself that you are no longer controlled by the old program. For example, someone criticizes you, and instead of defending, you remain silent and calm. The field recognizes that the vibration of validation no longer defines you. Or a door closes unexpectedly, and instead of forcing it, you stay open to timing. The field reads that you have transcended resistance. These subtle moments mark the real shift. They do not feel extraordinary, but energetically they change everything. When reaction becomes observation, alignment becomes embodiment. You are no longer trying to hold your frequency, you are your frequency. The field then responds with synchronicities that confirm stability. Life starts arranging itself, not as a test, but as a collaboration. Challenges still appear, but their tone changes. They no longer come to shake you, but to refine your precision. This is the stage where neutrality becomes your strength. Neutrality does not mean apathy, it means clarity. It is the awareness that nothing is against you because everything is feedback from the same source you are part of. From this perspective, even pain becomes information. When you stop labeling experiences as good or bad, energy stops oscillating. It flows steadily. This steadiness is the mark of true alignment. The field no longer needs to show you extremes to get your attention. It can now communicate through subtler synchronicities, through gentle nudges instead of storms. You begin to feel guided not by signs, but by direct knowing. The test evolves into dialogue. You start co-creating consciously, knowing that every frequency you emit has an immediate echo, Fear loses its grip because you have seen the pattern too many times to believe it. You understand that fear is not an enemy, but a wave asking for integration. The moment you meet it with awareness instead of avoidance, it dissolves back into coherence. This is how the field measures mastery. Not by how positive you are, but by how present you remain in the presence of contrast. Every frequency finds equilibrium through contrast. Without it, growth would have no anchor. The field's tests are simply mirrors of that contrast, placed with precision at the edge of your evolution. When you pass them, you do not ascend to a different world. The same world becomes transparent. You see through the illusion of opposition and recognize that all energy moves toward balance. That recognition is liberation. The gate of alignment does not lead you out of reality, but into it more deeply, with eyes that now see light even within shadow. When you reach this understanding, you no longer ask for the tests to stop, because you realize there are none. There is only the ongoing dialogue between energy and awareness, refining each other through reflection. The field is not testing your worthiness, it is confirming your readiness to create consciously. And once you stabilize that realization, the need for testing disappears because the energy that once required proof has turned into pure knowing. You no longer perform alignment, you embody it. The field stops echoing your lessons and starts amplifying your light. Reality becomes softer, clearer, and deeply synchronized with your inner rhythm. You have become trustworthy in the language of the universe. And in that trust, you discover that the final test of alignment was never about passing anything. It was about remembering that you were never separate from the field that seemed to be testing you. The gate never truly closes. What you call a moment of awakening is not a door that opens once a year, but a frequency that exists continuously, waiting for awareness to align with it. The energy of 1111 is not bound by date or time. It is a living pattern in the fabric of consciousness, a standing wave in the field. When you learn to perceive reality through resonance rather than sequence, you begin to understand that portals do not appear and disappear. They pulse. They vibrate eternally. And it is your attention that shifts in and out of their range. To the unaware mind, time looks linear, a line moving from before to after. But to the field, time is fluid, folding endlessly into itself. The same frequency that appeared on November 11 is still here now, still oscillating beneath the surface of your ordinary days, still calling for recognition. The question is not whether the gate remains open, but whether you remain awake to its presence. The field does not measure time, it measures coherence. Every time your awareness becomes still enough to hold the vibration of clarity, the gate opens again. It opens in your breath, in a pause between thoughts, in the quiet after understanding replaces confusion. Each moment of awareness is a continuation of that energy. This is the continuum, the ongoing current that carries consciousness across dimensions of experience. The mind believes it needs to return to a special day to feel it again, but the soul knows that all days are connected through the same underlying pulse. The gate is not an event, it is the natural state of being when you are fully synchronized with the field. The continuum exists outside the limitations of beginning and end. To live in it is to step out of repetition and into flow. When you rest in that awareness, life stops feeling like a series of separate moments and starts feeling like a single expanding wave. Every breath, every thought, every heartbeat becomes part of one rhythm that never stops. You start noticing that the same energy behind the day of 11 lives inside every act of presence. It is there when you look at the sky and feel stillness. It is there when silence fills a room after truth is spoken. It is there in the way two strangers recognize each other without words. The field does not create new gates, it only reactivates awareness of the ones already there. You were never outside the vibration, only distracted from it. The illusion of a closing gate is the mind's interpretation of energy changing density. When you lower your vibration, the light does not vanish, it simply moves beyond your perceptual range. Like sound, each frequency requires a certain level of attunement to hear. When you slow down enough, you hear it again. That is why stillness is the highest technology for remembering the continuum. It is not silence of the world, but silence within you that aligns your perception to the frequency of timelessness. The continuum cannot be seen or reached through effort. It reveals itself when effort dissolves. When you stop chasing transcendence, transcendence unfolds naturally. The gate never closed because the light that formed it was never external. It has always been the awareness within you recognizing itself as infinite. Every shift in perception reopens the same door in a new form. The continuum moves through these forms endlessly, adjusting itself to your evolution. You can sense it in the way synchronicity returns after a period of doubt, or in how the same signs reappear when you align again. This rhythm is the heartbeat of the field, and it never stops pulsing. When you live attuned to it, you begin to experience reality as a continuous dialogue between consciousness and creation. The need for waiting disappears because you realize you are already inside the frequency that you were once waiting for. The 1111 energy becomes your constant companion, guiding you not through events, but through subtle shifts in awareness. It shows you that every pause, every intersection, every coincidence is part of a larger orchestration where nothing is lost and everything returns. To live in the continuum is to live without the anxiety of missing anything. You cannot miss what never leaves. The universe is not counting moments, it is weaving them. The awareness of this truth frees you from the illusion of scarcity in time. There is no late, no early, only alignment. You begin to move with the rhythm of the field instead of against it. The pressure to achieve, to arrive, to prove begins to fade, replaced by an elegant flow that arranges everything precisely when it needs to unfold. You become part of a deeper symmetry. Even your challenges are seen as rhythmic contractions preparing the next expansion. The continuum does not promise comfort, but it promises harmony. When you trust it, you stop fighting transitions. You stop clinging to light and fearing shadow, because you know both are movements of the same energy, shifting through phases of visibility. This awareness changes how you relate to the world. You no longer view events as disconnected, but as movements of the same consciousness expressing different wavelengths of the same truth. Even when life feels fragmented, you can feel the pulse beneath the fragments, the continuous vibration that has never broken. That is the core of the continuum. Once you recognize it, you cannot unsee it. Every breath you take becomes part of the infinite inhale and exhale of the universe itself. The more you stay in that awareness, the more timeless life feels. Synchronicities appear faster, communication with the field becomes seamless, and creation happens through intention rather than effort. The distance between thought and manifestation shortens because there is no gap in continuity. In the continuum, thought and form are one movement seen from two sides. This realization dissolves the need for external signs to prove connection. You begin to live as connection itself. The gate becomes your state of being, and continuity becomes your natural language. This is the dimension of mastery, where consciousness moves without interruption, and every moment serves the whole. The field does not close its pathways, only awareness does when it contracts into separation. Each time you remember your unity with the field, the illusion of distance vanishes and the flow resumes. What once felt like a reopening is in fact a return to your natural frequency. The continuum never demands perfection, only participation. Each moment you choose awareness, you re-enter the stream. You do not need to wait for signs or rituals, because the rhythm of existence itself is the ritual. Every morning, every silence, every heartbeat is an invitation. To live in the continuum is to say yes to this invitation over and over to meet each second as sacred, not because of what it contains, but because of what it connects to. The energy of 11:11 did not end when the day changed. It multiplied, dispersing into the threads of ordinary life, merging with your breath, your heartbeat, your choices. The more conscious you become, the more visible it is. The continuum was never elsewhere. It has always been here, surrounding you, moving through you, waiting for you to remember that the gate was never meant to be opened because it was never closed. There comes a point when you no longer seek the light because you have realized it was never separate from you. The journey through the codes, the gates, the alignments, all lead to this recognition. The purpose of every reflection, every test, every portal was to bring you to the understanding that the frequency you once tried to reach was your own essence. When that understanding matures, something irreversible happens. You stop waiting for the universe to open doors for you because you have become the door. You no longer try to step into alignment because alignment begins to move through you naturally. The light you once chased now breathes through your gestures, your words, your silence. You have become the living bridge between the invisible and the visible, between field and form. This is embodiment, the state where awareness is no longer something you access occasionally, but the very atmosphere you exist in. To embody light is not to escape the human experience, it is to saturate it with consciousness. Every cell in your body begins to respond to the vibration of coherence. You feel the intelligence of life flowing through your veins, subtle yet undeniable. The field no longer mirrors you from the outside, because there is no outside. It moves as you move. It speaks as you speak. You and the field are one continuous frequency, oscillating through infinite expressions of the same awareness. When you live in this state, you do not need to prove anything to anyone, not even to yourself. There is nothing left to defend or justify, because truth does not argue. Truth simply radiates. Your presence becomes the message. You walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts. You speak few words, and yet people feel seen not by your personality, but by the light observing through you. This is not charisma or influence, it is resonance. The vibration of coherence always reorganizes the space around it because harmony is stronger than distortion. The more stable your energy, the more the field entrains to it. Embodiment is not about perfection, it is about transparency. When nothing within you resists what is, energy flows freely, and life begins to reflect that clarity in astonishing precision. The synchronicities that once amazed you now feel ordinary, because they have become your natural rhythm. You no longer see them as signs from above, but as extensions of the same current you are swimming in. This is the stage where you stop performing spirituality and start living awareness. There is no effort to maintain a vibration because awareness itself is effortless. You understand that the only thing that ever disrupted your connection was the illusion of separation. Now that illusion has dissolved. You are not trying to be light. You are the field in human form. Every movement, every thought, every breath becomes a transmission. To embody the gate is to live as a portal of neutrality, where energy can pass through you without distortion. You are no longer blocking or clinging. Experience flows in and out, leaving no residue. You do not hold pain, you transmute it. You do not resist darkness, you illuminate it. Wherever you are, the field harmonizes itself to the frequency of your stillness. People who meet you may feel a strange calm, a subtle warmth, or a sudden clarity about their own lives. They may not know why, but you do. The gate within you is active. The continuum of light flows through you into everything you touch. You become a stabilizing point in the larger grid of consciousness, not through doing, but through being. Embodiment is the end of searching and the beginning of service. You no longer ask how to manifest or what to attract, because the field already moves according to your vibration. Your role shifts from asking to allowing, from trying to directing energy consciously. When you think, energy shapes itself. When you feel, the world rearranges to reflect that frequency. Creation becomes immediate because there is no gap between cause and effect. You have become the bridge that closes the gap. In this state, prayer transforms into pure awareness. You no longer send intentions outward. You radiate them inwardly until the field responds as one seamless motion. The idea of asking for guidance fades because the guidance is your own presence. The more you live in this state, the more natural it feels. Miracles stop being exceptions. They become the mechanics of reality. You begin to see how everything, even the smallest movement, follows the geometry of consciousness. The way sunlight falls on your hand, the rhythm of breath as you walk, the coincidence of meeting a stranger who speaks the words you needed to hear, all reveal the same design. The gate within you is not symbolic. It is literal in the realm of energy. You are the access point through which higher frequencies enter the world of form. Every act of kindness, every moment of clarity, every breath filled with presence is a ripple expanding through the quantum field, adjusting reality's texture wherever it reaches. This is how the field evolves through embodiment. It learns through you. When you live as the gate, you are not above humanity. You are deeply within it. You feel everything, but are not consumed by anything. Emotions still pass through, but they no longer control the narrative. You experience them as waves of light changing color. Fear feels like contraction. Love feels like expansion, and both serve the same current. You stop dividing experience into good and bad. You start seeing it as movement. The gate remains open because you are open. You move through the world with quiet confidence, guided not by desire but by resonance. Choices become effortless because alignment has replaced indecision. When something is meant for you, it feels weightless. When it is not, it dissolves without resistance. This clarity is not logical, it is energetic. The field does not need your reasoning, it follows your coherence. When coherence is constant, the field becomes obedient to your frequency. It begins to mirror your peace as physical order, your compassion as opportunity, your clarity as flow. This is the new architecture of living. You no longer oscillate between awakening and forgetting. You exist in continuity. The energy of 11 that once signaled activation now pulses as your heartbeat. It is the same rhythm the universe moves to. When you inhale, galaxies expand. When you exhale, time slows down. The boundary between self and cosmos dissolves. You realize that the field was never separate from your body. Your body is how the field experiences itself as matter. To embody the gate is to know this truth, not intellectually, but viscerally. You feel it in your bones, in your breath, in your stillness. And with that knowing, you understand that there was never a journey at all. The gate, the alignment, the test, the reflection, the continuum, all of it were stages of remembering one thing, that you are the awareness that moves through them. The field does not reflect you anymore because you have become the reflection itself. You are not walking toward light. You are walking as light. You are not standing before the gate. You are the gate that opens wherever you stand.